Good afternoon and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Charles Potter Jr. Today is going to be a kind of different show, and let me just set things up for you. Today, I'm going to make a few statements, followed by an interview that was done with my Foxtail Fest, my son, and his two partners. And then Velda Jones Potter, my wife, is going to come on and make some statements through an interview. I just want to take a second and talk to you today as Velda's husband and as a father, Brandon, my son, and to say to the citizens of Wilmington and the people of the state of Delaware is that my wife has given her services to the city for many years in the state and has done an outstanding job and will continue to do that because her heart is with this city and the state. And to say to my son, as his dad, how proud I am that he would bring an event to this city and this state with his partners. Brandon's 23 years old. One of his other partners is 23, and the other one is 21. To bring an event to this city of such a magnitude that me and my age have never done anything close to that. I've done a lot of good things in my life. You know, you're going to see the interview, and they're going to talk about it, where they brought people in from the United Kingdom throughout the country. They had a positive message in the people they brought here. They did some environmental things with boxed water. They planted trees when tickets were sold. There was so much good that event brought to this city. And by the way, they're going to continue with their event next year, be it here in Wilmington or in Philadelphia. That's their choice. But there was so much positiveness when we talk about helping and working with young people. This is what young people did. And as a result of that, you didn't hear the positive things. But one of the things people must realize is that you cannot be judge, jury, and executioner before the facts are in. All of the facts weren't in, and the newspaper and the radio went on a frenzy joined by other people. Now you got a lot of people saying that we're going to wait till all the facts are in to make a decision. A little late. But what I can say to you is this, that Velda Jones Potter has done a great job, my wife, and she will continue to do a great job. She didn't do anything wrong. Foxtail Fest didn't do anything wrong. Everything asked of them, they paid for. They didn't get any preferential treatment, none whatsoever, and you will find that out. The main issue here, folks, and don't let people try to stray your vision away from the main issue. Councilman Brown said it from the beginning. Who ordered those police? That's the issue here at hand. Who ordered those police? And those decisions can only be made by certain people, as I'm told. So that decision would, what I'm told, would come from the mayor or its inspectors. Don't let people tell you anything different. The issue on the table was the number of officers at the event. So don't forget, the issue at hand is who ordered those police. Don't be distracted. Now, although I'm very disappointed in what happened, I can say to you as a leader in the city, I don't think that anyone had any malice in their heart. Not anyone had any malice in their heart. No one, I think, had any malice in their heart. I think this was really a non-issue that has been puffed up, and that this community and all of us will come together and begin to move forward. This was a non-issue blown out of proportion, just like a feeding frenzy. But at the cost of putting a lot of pearls against my family, which I'm not happy with. A lot of people are more interested in perception than reality. We, the Potter family, we deal in reality and the facts. People were all in the newspaper and the radio all this week, not the Potter family. We made one statement. You will hear a statement today by my wife. And I'm getting ready to close out and just say to you is this. judge a person by how they act and the things that they do. We, the Potter family, will continue giving great service to the city and the state because that is what we do. We don't want our city in an uproar, the state in an uproar. People have the right to know how city funds are expended, and that's a right that I would stand for, and that's what my wife and I are standing for now, so that people can get to the bottom of who ordered those police. I want to thank you for this time. I don't want you to keep your heads down, keep your heads up high. The Potter family is just fine. I want to say to you, we're going to play some of the excerpts from the tape, the interview with the young entrepreneurs, and really take a good look at this tape so that you can see that these young entrepreneurs have done something fabulous. And you make the judgment. And then a little later, Val will be on. If it's necessary, I will come back. Thank you for tuning to Straight Talk. And if the production room is ready, we will start the interview. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Channel 28 viewers. My name is Brianna Denby. I'm a native Delawarean, graduated from law school here, and I have come to meet 3 young entrepreneurs living in the Philadelphia, Delaware area. We have here Jeff, Brandon, and Kurt. And why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Well, Brianna, my name is actually Kurt. That is Jeff down there with the mustache. My name is Curtis Mathias. I am from Southern Chester County, Pennsylvania. Good friends with Brandon and Jeff here, and we decided to do this Foxtail Fest in Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay, and how did you 3 come to meet?
We actually just about a year ago started hanging out down in Philadelphia and South Philly near the Italian market and stuff like that. And just became really good friends, man. Everyone's a real special person. Jeff's a great musician and a really kind-hearted individual. Brandon is one of the hardest working people that I've ever met, which is part of, you know, why he started this company. And it just all came together like that, I feel like.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And you talk about you guys are hardworking, and I know that there's been this Foxtail Festival. Tell me a little bit about it. How'd you guys come up with the concept?
Well, we came up with a concept. I'm from Wilmington, born and raised.
Okay.
Jeff actually went to Salesianum, and Kurt's always around here in Wilmington, and we just felt that Wilmington needed something like this for the young people here to have a positive way to, you know, have fun.
Okay.
Just try to do a big event where we could bring in a lot of people from outside the city as well, and just have a good time.
Talk to me a little bit more about the kind of artists that you had at the event. What were you trying here at Delaware?
We were trying to bring a real diverse, new, fresh, hip artists to the area.
Okay.
We had Machine Gun Kelly headline, Travis Scott, Cat Dahlia, DJ Slink. Then we had a lot of artists from the Delaware and Philly region. We had OCD Motion Twist. Cypher Click is from Delaware.
Okay.
Arnold is from Delaware. He's from Wilmington.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a great lineup. We brought out a real diverse crowd. It was really cool.
And a lot of these people like Machine Gun Kelly and Travis Scott, Cat Dahlia, Slink, they don't really come to Delaware. I mean, they're major national artists that don't, or at least to Wilmington, that don't come to this area. And I think it's really cool for the young people that we were able to bring them to the riverfront this year.
Sure. So it's not just hip hop. It's also indie artists and also what you would call maybe electric.
Yeah, electronic dance music,
Okay.
like
Okay.
DJs and such.
And so, if you guys live in Philly now, what made you decide to bring the festival here to Wilmington, of all places?
I mean, like Brandon had said earlier, there was just never anything like this, and there's so many young people here. You know how many high schools there are in Delaware, and we went to high school here, and what do you hear every day is, man, there's nothing to do
There's
in
nothing to
Delaware.
do.
Yeah, that's what
Nothing
everyone
to do.
says.
Right.
And we were just like, well, let's make something to do, you know, let's do something. There's all these great colleges and universities and the high schools, and we just thought it was about time somebody stepped up to the plate and did something legitimately cool and fun and positive for the young people.
Okay. And you guys came up with What Scene. So how did you come up with the concept of What Scene?
Well, What Scene is like our overarching business. Foxtail Fest was our, I guess, first big event that we did. And What Scene really just represents kind of like how it sounds. We kind
What scene?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be
Because
anything.
in Delaware, where's the scene?
It could be Delaware, it could be Philly, it could be New York. Could be music event, could be a clothing, streetwear event. You know.
Okay.
We really want to just keep it mixed and
So
not
when a
stick to
person
any one
says
thing.
Wilmington, Delaware, what scene is in Wilmington, Delaware?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
three
Food,
are
fashion,
here to kind of
music,
tell us
all
what's
of it.
here.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's
All the
great.
hip stuff for all of the young people that are trying to do
Yeah.
positive things in this
Really,
area.
that's the concept.
great.
Definitely,
Yeah.
And also, you know, the riverfront is a new budding location, and I know that Mayor Williams, he's definitely played a large part in trying to host more events there. Speak to why you chose that location in Delaware.
Well, I mean, to be honest, the park is just beautiful. It's very scenic, right on the river. The stage was like perfect, so it really was a no-brainer, right by the Amtrak, so people could have easy access from outside the city, and like you said, a budding new area.
Right.
We had during the day. There was like multiple times where the drawbridge or whatever that bridge
Yeah.
just
Oh,
goes
right.
up, and then we had pirate ships floating through the venue.
Yeah, the
That's
Kalmar
so
Nichols.
cool.
Stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the park is perfect. Even Machine Gun Kelly, all his people, all the people who tour the world and see everything, came up to us and said, "Guys, best venue." Like,
Oh, well, that's
beautiful,
great.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
So you got good feedback from the artists
Yeah,
about the
great
location,
feedback.
about the city.
Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly's camp, they said, they're traveling every day to a different city, and so to them, like, they just get off, they see the venue, but they said when they saw, Tubman Garrett Park, that, it made an impression on them, the scenic view that was there, so
Okay.
that was definitely cool to hear.
And I know that you mentioned that it's so close to the Amtrak station. Speak to some of the different places some of your audience members came from. I mean, I'm sure they're not just from Delaware and the Philadelphia area. Where else were
Not
they
at
coming
all.
from?
And that's what made it so diverse is we had people from every corner of the United States. We had people from Florida, from
Wow.
Maine. I think we had individuals from Ohio come out. Of course, we're Cleveland, where Machine Gun Kelly's from.
Okay.
It was just a really, not only ethnically, but I guess regionally diverse.
Okay.
And culturally, we had one guy from the UK that was there, which was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
And he flew.
Yeah, he flew in.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's really what it's all about. Wilmington needs this kind of thing so
Right.
that people can be exposed to stuff like the beautiful park that we had the event in.
Well, I've heard really great things, and I think that it's great that you guys created a positive buzz around the city of Wilmington. And we'll just take one short break, and we'll be right back. And we're back talking with the young entrepreneurs of What Scene who put together the Foxtail Fest. And I want to talk about some of the details that went into the planning of the event. As a young entrepreneur myself, I'd love to know, and I'm sure the viewers would also like to know, how do you come to put together something like this?
Well, me and Jeff and also Curtis, we're just huge music fans. And so we just really put our heads together about, what steps we needed to take to, make this happen. Like I was gonna say, me and Jeff went to St. Joe's. We majored in marketing and music industry. Kurt's always been in the music industry as well, real into it.
Okay.
So we learned a lot through those experiences, being in bands,
Cool.
doing other little shows. So we just kind of scaled it up to, Foxtail Fest, figured out all the permitting and all that kind of stuff that we had to do
Okay.
to make the event happen.
And the first step is coming up with making sure that you can get a permit for the event. Okay, and how did you go about booking the artist or choosing the artist for this event?
Well, choosing the artist was a real cool experience, and also
Definitely.
a stressful experience because
Yeah.
we went through a lot of artists before we finally came to Machine Gun Kelly
Okay.
and were able to book him. But like we said earlier, we wanted a real diverse, mixed genres throughout the day, hip-hop, electronic, indie rock.
Okay.
So that's how the lineup came about.
Machine Gun Kelly, why him?
I think
And why him in Delaware?
he's an exciting artist. It's an artist that we've been following for a long time.
Okay.
He has a very cool fan base, very much just about his work ethic and the trials and tribulations that he's been to.
Okay.
He has never performed in the state of Delaware, so we thought it would be cool to bring him in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And just he's known for just having a really exciting live show, and that's what we feed off of and we love. So we wanted to bring him through. And I think going back to the point before in terms of like how did we do this,
Right.
I know I gained a lot of inspiration from Brandon here and people out there who are thinking about doing something or making something happen.
Right.
You just have to start it. You
Right.
gotta start it.
Okay.
And Brandon over a year ago just started it. Who do I need to contact? What do we need to do? What are the steps? How do I start laying
Right.
this foundation? And I mean, I don't know how many times that even myself and my friends, since we were 12 years old, think of these ideas,
Right.
but just no one ever does anything. But Brandon did something, and then got me and Kurt on board, and we supported him through the rest of it. And it's really, that's inspirational, and that's how you do it.
Absolutely.
You just do it.
making your dreams a reality and acting on them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that the experiences that you guys had with planning this event, I'm sure you learned a lot more with the planning and the executing of this event than you ever could have learned in school.
So much.
speak to like, the hands-on learning that you guys got from this event.
To be honest,
yeah.
I only went through 2 years of college. I couldn't pay for that, and
Wow.
and this was, I mean, as far as experience goes, this was, I literally would say 10 times more experience than college.
Wow.
10 times, tenfold easy. Like,
Wow.
not only the amount of work, but the amount of work that you see other people putting in, the amount of organization that you have to do something like this is just, you don't even see it behind the scenes. You don't see it when you go to an event, and it's just really, 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 really cool when you get there day of and everything's just functioning perfectly. You got
Right.
artists on stage having a great time telling you that you put on a great event for them, and
Right.
they've seen everything all around the world.
So this is hands-on project management experience,
Yeah. Logistics.
event planning, logistics,
Yeah.
Economics.
economics, finance, accounting. Probably learn some laws too about permits.
Definitely.
Artist contracts.
Cool.
That's-
All that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
And that's so cool. And so, did you guys bring any volunteers or young people in to help you with this event?
There's a lot of things that we're proud of about Foxtail Fest, and one of the biggest things is how we were able to get young people in the area involved. We had over 72 volunteers. When you put all the time together, it's thousands of hours. We didn't sleep. Our team didn't sleep
Yeah.
for, it felt like months.
Yeah.
And we had so many friends helping us out, our family supporting us, everybody pitching in. We had interns helping us out. We got to give a shout out to Janelle.
Yeah,
Hopefully
definitely.
Yeah.
she's watching. Janelle is an amazing intern from Philadelphia University.
Okay.
Definitely.
We involved students from Del Tech, from Del State, from the Christina Cultural Arts Center, and really just gave a positive opportunity for people to get involved with something exciting, you know?
Yeah.
Not to knock other events in the city anywhere else, but like, this is cool for kids.
And right here in
And-
your backyard, and you
Exactly.
don't
Yeah.
have to drive all the way up I-95 to make
Exactly.
it happen. And to
Exactly.
see that.
Yeah. It doesn't have to just be in Philly. It can happen here. you
Cool.
know?
So I know that the headline artist has a name like Machine Gun Kelly. You know, and with that sort of name, people may think that, oh, that artist or this festival may bring a lot of violence or drugs. Speak about whether or not there were any incidents at the event.
There were actually absolutely no incidents at this event, and we're
That's
proud
great.
to say our security did a great job. Definitely want to shout out to Corey and State One Security.
Absolutely.
They did an amazing job.
Okay.
And yeah, people, you know, may have heard the name Machine Gun Kelly, but I mean, I'll just say he got his name from the way he raps, which is really cool. Not necessarily, you know, anything violent. He's definitely a hugely positive guy.
Okay.
Those who were there definitely saw all the things he was saying between his songs, and it was just great.
Okay.
All about, you know, spreading this positivity, and that's what we're about too.
Okay.
Yeah,
In
100%.
addition-
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna say, in addition to Corey, who killed the security, just a shout out to young people for being cool and realizing that, look, they're giving us an opportunity to do something cool. Let's not blow it. Let's
Definitely.
be smart.
Yeah.
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 Let's be positive, and let's not be reckless. Let's make good decisions and still have fun.
And
Still
every
have
single
fun.
person did that. There wasn't
Yeah.
one person who did not do that. And speaking on Machine Gun Kelly again, just to go back to this, I talked to all the artists there. Machine Gun Kelly is the most famous, the most, you know, you would think he would have the biggest head, be the most
Yeah.
Hollywood. And he said some words to us that like inspired us, man.
Like what?
Just such nice things, like just talking about first events, and like
Okay.
not this, you know, we definitely would have loved to have 7,000 people there, and it just would have been, it was just crazy. He was talking about like his come up, and for 3 years he had to work on stuff
Yeah.
and not have any type of success, be dirt broke, and it
Right.
was just like, you guys are so accelerated in front of what my team was doing, and I
Wow.
really value what you did here, and it was just so cool. And
Right.
you chilled with us in the hotel afterwards.
And I thought that felt good.
Oh,
I mean,
my
coming
God.
from an artist
There
of
was-
that stature
Yeah, really,
and
really
giving you
cool.
guys a pat on the back for the work and
that put
all
a
the
tear in my
sleepless
eye.
hours that you guys
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and how many people came out to the Foxtail Festival?
We had thousands of people coming cycling throughout the day. We don't definitely have an exact number for you, but I mean it was a great event for the city of Wilmington, and definitely, you know.
And
That's
check
great.
out the, if you look at the videos, we got videos on our website, whatscene.net, and it has videos of the artist performance, and it was popping. It was
Yeah,
really
Yeah, it was
popping.
definitely
And I've
popping.
Kids were
seen
having a lot
some
of
of the
fun.
videos, and I've seen some of the pictures, but the one thing that did catch my eye was this boxed water.
Oh yeah.
You
Yes,
guys, can you
ma'am.
talk about what's the deal with the boxed water? I mean, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, what color is it? Why is it boxed?
Box water is part of our sustainability for this. We had in-ticketing, which is our ticketing program, which plants a tree every single time that a ticket is bought.
Okay.
And we also have a boxed water, which is a recyclable box of water.
Okay.
It's a little bit more expensive, but as you can see on the packaging, it donates 10% to the world's water supply and 10% to the tree reforestation of all of their products. So they lose 20% of their products to the environment, or excuse me, 20% of their profit to the environment every year, and that's just really cool. So we were definitely willing to pay a little bit more money out of our pockets for the environment of Wilmington and the whole, you know, the whole.
So they
United
did
States.
plant trees while
No.
they were here at the event?
In ticketing. That's our
Sorry.
ticketing company. Like
Okay.
when people bought tickets online, they had the option to plant a tree
Okay.
with their ticket sale. So
And do you get to say where the tree's going to be?
not exactly, but we had hundreds that were, you know, printed. I mean,
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
planted.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it was really cool.
And where can anybody pick up this boxed water?
That's a great question.
Well, actually, that was another thing that we brought to Delaware. This was their first time having
Oh.
boxed water in Delaware.
Okay.
So it's not really available outside of Foxtail Fest as of
if you hit
now.
us up on Twitter, we have plenty of boxed water.
Okay.
I'll let you know that right now.
It's up.
stuff.
It's up and coming. I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna be hearing from them. It's just a great idea and cool branding.
Okay.
Just a very positive thing. With the environmental stuff, that is like near and dear to our heart. That's the stuff that if we're not planning Foxtail Fest and events, we're just talking about how we can make the world better and what little things we could all be doing to improve the way things are. And we want to, I mean, that's not necessarily a classically hip hop notion or,
Right.
or music
Right.
cool notion, but I feel like if we can merge them together a little bit, the outcome could be pretty powerful.
Sure. So that's good that you guys are basically partying with a purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
I like
that was our
that.
motto
Yeah,
for
that's cool.
Foxtail Fest.
Okay, that's cool. And so, how did some of the local universities, Wilmington University, UD, how did they get involved with this festival?
Well, we actually met with like Del Tech, and they had a huge interest because of our, you know, us being young people, entrepreneurs. They have their entrepreneur program where they support, you know, young Black minorities to, you know, help them start their own business or just help them learn about how to start their own business. So, I think we're actually going to be going back to Del Tech and speaking to their classes
Oh,
and stuff like that,
cool.
telling about Foxtail Fest and what's seen and about what we do,
Okay,
and just, you know, seeing however we can help.
that's great. Hi, this is Brianna Denby. I'm here today with Mrs. Velda Jones Potter, here to talk about the Foxtail Fest and the recent allegations that have been widely publicized in the local news media. So we're here today to get out the facts, and we're going to just ask those pertinent questions. And I'll turn it over to Mrs. Potter.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Brianna.
Hi there. So,
Well,
two weeks ago, there was a Foxtail Festival. It was put on by What Scene, which was co-founded by your son, Brandon Potter, two of his friends, Jeff and Kurt. And last week, I spoke with them and I was able to get out some information about the planning of the event. I think that you played a small part in those young entrepreneurs putting together that event. So do you want to speak to the details of the planning of the event?
well, I do. Well, not really the details of the planning. They really handled all of that,
Okay.
much to their credit. But I do want to speak to what a wonderful, wonderful thing they did
Right.
in holding the festival here in Wilmington. And I want to applaud their creativity. I want to applaud their initiative. We are always saying to our young people that we want them to step up. We are continually ridiculing them for being disengaged, for wearing their pants hanging down,
Right.
for violence, for any number of problems that some of our young people create and find themselves in.
Right.
But
And
we
it's-
have a rare opportunity to really celebrate some young guys who stepped forward and dared to bring their dream to life, and who could have done it anywhere. They could have done it in Philadelphia, where they all now live and spend a lot of their time.
Right.
They could have done it in West Grove, Pennsylvania, which is where one of the three partners are from.
Okay.
But they did it here in Wilmington.
Okay.
And they did it here for a very, very, very specific reason, and that is because this was Brandon's home.
Right.
Because he knew this to be a place where nothing of the likes of Foxtail Fest had ever been done before.
Right.
And had a vision to see something wonderful happen for young people here.
Sure.
What is so disappointing is that lost in all the politics and all the negative and all the accusations is that we've had some young people step up and do what we asked them
Right.
over and over to do.
And not only were they involved with the planning and the execution of the event, but they brought in other young people from some of the local colleges and universities to get involved with it.
Well, yes, and you know what was so surprising to me down the stretch as I realized all that went into it
Right.
and all that they had handled really on their own, and what strong young entrepreneurs they are, is everything from negotiating national contracts
Right.
with national artists
Right.
that sign with some of the biggest record companies in the world, that these three young men on their own negotiated those contracts.
Sure.
That they sought and received national sponsorship
Right.
from name brand companies
Right.
that are household names, that they arranged with the university, but with Philadelphia University,
Right.
to have an intern work with them
Okay.
who was able to get hands-on experience, that they saw a vision to do something more than just party,
Sure.
but in their own words, party positively,
Okay.
to bring real important information out to people their age about, for example, the new health marketplace
Sure.
that is coming out starting October 1st that we all are hearing so much from President Obama about.
Right. Right.
They recognized how critical it is for young people to be a part of that process.
Right.
And they had the resources there to help them know how to do that. So first and foremost, I want to applaud what they've done. And frankly, I'd like to say, you know, shame on us. Shame on Wilmington.
Yeah.
Shame on the voices out of Wilmington that are ringing so loudly around negative, that not once has it been said by our elected officials, by our political leaders, by our news media, that kudos, you guys did something wonderful.
Okay. So I grew up here in Wilmington, and I never saw anything like that. I mean, of course, there have been music festivals, and there have been certain festivals at different local area parks, but I have never known any young people to put on something like that. And so I, too, was impressed with what they talked about into the planning and the making of this event. And so I would only hope that other young entrepreneurs, like myself and others coming forward, would feel as though that they could do that here and would have the backing to do that here in Wilmington.
Right. Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, those three young men are certainly not deterred
Okay.
by all of the swirl that has surrounded it. Obviously, it's sort of dampened what should have felt to them to have been a high-flying balloon, but
Okay.
but that notwithstanding, they are committed to keeping Foxtail Fest going
Okay.
year after year after year. And you know, from the voice of young people, what they are hearing is that it was a wonderful day, that they are thrilled something like that came to Wilmington, that they're looking forward to it in the future.
Okay.
It's just unfortunate that, and this is something that I really hope we will take a step back, and those who have been sort of lobbying the hand grenades and creating a lot of the negativism around this, I hope it will cause them, frankly, to rethink our focus and our priorities.
Okay.
To really ask ourselves, are we willing to allow our young people to step forward, our 21, 23-year-olds, to step forward, and when they do positive things, for us to support them and celebrate them in doing that.
Okay.
And I hope the answer will be yes.
Okay. And so it is my understanding, and this is just me as a citizen reading the local news articles. The Foxtail Fest went on. There were no incidents, but there were some allegations that some additional police officers were called to the event. What's your take on that whole thing? I know that you came on this show last week to explain what you knew to be step by step what happened. But I want to give you another chance to just talk about what you knew to have happened the day of the event.
Okay. Well, let's see. It's a long story to sort of cover all of it. I did try to share with the viewing audience last week sort of all the details and particulars around it. But
Okay.
I guess in somewhat summation, the public safety requirement at events is determined by the Wilmington Police Department.
Okay.
I mean, obviously that's appropriate. They are our public safety experts.
Okay.
And as part of the event process, they determine how many police officers are required based on the number of people attending, the nature of the venue, and so forth. And in the case of the Foxtail Fest, they were originally informed that they would need to have 20 Wilmington police officers
Okay.
on site.
Okay.
And Foxtail Fest was at the table and prepared to pay for 20 Wilmington police officers.
Okay.
The sign-up process that the Wilmington Police use for special events allows officers to at their discretion, choose to sign up to work. It's an off-duty job, so
Right.
they're not on duty with the city.
Okay.
They're working for a private event.
Okay.
And so they can choose to work those if
Sign
they,
up or not.
or not.
Right.
In the case of Foxtail, only one officer signed up.
Okay.
And that's not all that uncommon for
Sure.
a brand new event that officers don't know about, and for who knows, maybe a host of reasons. But
Okay.
the fact is, just a mere 2 days before the event, Foxtail Fest was informed that only one officer had signed up.
Okay.
Fortunately, Foxtail Fest had with them at the table throughout the duration a private security company that stood ready to provide 20 private security guards to
Okay.
cover the event,
Okay.
which is totally permitted by the city's code
Okay.
and the city's law.
Okay.
But the Wilmington Police Department were not comfortable with that. They didn't offer other options.
And do you think they weren't comfortable with that just because the private security officers maybe are not able to arrest? They have no arrest powers?
Well, I don't want to speculate
Okay.
on why they weren't comfortable.
Okay.
You know, I will say personally, you know, my son was at the center of all that,
Right.
and the idea that there are going to be a lot of young people there. Nobody would want to be sure they're kept more safe
Right.
during that time than me.
Right.
So, you know, having sworn police officers certainly is a preference.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is none signed up, and therefore none were available.
Okay.
Ultimately, there was a decision made and a meeting was held where a decision was made to allow a combination of the private security guards that Foxtail Fest would hire,
Okay.
and 5 Wilmington police officers that the city of Wilmington would deploy.
Okay.
And so,
But even though one signed up, the city of Wilmington still said that they would have 5 available.
yes,
Okay.
yes, and so at last understanding by Foxtail Fest, and as told as instructed by the Wilmington Police Department,
Okay.
Foxtail Fest would be required to have 15 private security guards, and the Wilmington Police Department would deploy under the city's overtime, which is my understanding was the only way that they could deploy them.
Okay.
They can't compel officers to work
Right.
off duty for a private event.
Okay.
And that 5 would be deployed in that
Okay.
manner.
Okay.
Foxtail stood fully prepared to pay whatever combination of officers, private security
That was required
that
of
was
them.
required.
Okay.
And they did in fact pay
Okay.
exactly what was required of them.
And so they paid for the 15 security guards.
Absolutely.
And we're hoping that the 5 City of Wilmington police officers would be there, ready and willing to police the
Well,
event.
we're fully expecting that there would be, because
Okay.
had no reason to expect that they wouldn't,
Okay.
given that the 2 inspectors had indicated that 5 would be deployed.
Okay.
So, at that moment, it was a matter of ensuring that your private security officers are there and that you take care of them, and the Wilmington Police Department has the rest,
Okay.
is handling whatever else there is.
Okay.
So it was as much a surprise to me personally,
Okay.
and to the guys with Foxtail, to learn in the paper that there were actually 20 officers.
And you don't
there.
recall seeing the 20 officers there?
Well, I do recall seeing officers there, and I recall officers being very visible.
Okay.
But I didn't count them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And in an event that size, and I know that pictures
Yeah.
were shown, there was quite a bit of a turnout
Right.
there at the Tubman Riverfront Park. Almost 800 and at times almost 1,000 or more, correct?
Well, there was never at any point in time more than, frankly, about 600 people at
Okay.
any point in time. During
Okay.
the course of the day, there may have been, upwards of 1,000 people
Okay.
in and out, but at any point in time, there was never more than about 600.
Okay.
What I will say is, at the heart of this, when this issue was first raised, was, wow, how did 20 police officers end up at
the
Foxtail
event.
Fest?
That's right.
With the associated accusation, frankly, that Foxtail Fest got free officers,
Right.
i.e. special treatment.
Sure.
And that they got that as a result of myself being involved.
Right.
And in fact, at some level, and the accusation that I had even directed that those officers be there.
Okay.
So, I guess what I would like to be absolutely clear about is I had no ability to direct
Okay.
officers to be anywhere.
Okay.
I did not make the decision about 20 officers being there. In fact, I was as surprised as the general public to learn that they were.
Okay.
And
And just to be clear, your role at that time, you were the chief strategy officer to Mayor Williams.
The chief strategy advisor
Okay.
to Mayor Williams.
And in that capacity, you don't have the power to request mandatory police presence at an event. Am I clear about that?
No, in my role with the city, in fact, I would surmise that no one has the ability to deploy police officers except the senior police department leadership.
Okay.
The chief of police, the inspectors.
Got it.
That's what I surmise.
Okay.
I certainly did not have that ability.
Okay.
And so I think that for me, that's very important to be very clear to people.
Got
Is
it.
not only in that situation, but frankly, at no time was there any request for free or special services for the Foxtail Fest.
Okay.
I would say to the contrary. I made every effort to try to be as transparent
Right.
and as upfront as possible throughout the process, and including, saying to staff, be very clear, Foxtail Fest is no different than any other event that's happening in this
Okay.
city.
Okay.
It is not to get any special treatment.
Right.
It is not to get any treatment, no more, no less
Okay.
than any other than any other event would have.
Okay.
By the same token, in the meetings where I did participate with Foxtail Fest, I made it very clear, first of all, I took a vacation every time,
Okay.
so that I was operating and had the ability to operate as a private citizen.
Okay.
And I made it very clear coming in that I am not there in any way in my capacity with the city.
Okay.
That I am there strictly as a personal resource.
Okay.
To
And that
to the
went.
Foxtail
That was the
Fest.
planning of the Foxtail Fest before it happened, and at no time did anybody let you know that this festival shouldn't happen or that you were acting improperly up to that point?
No, there wasn't any indication of that.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
Okay.
whatsoever.
So I know that you're talking about transparency,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that there's going to be a public hearing held tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What are your goals for that public hearing tomorrow? What do you hope to ferret out tomorrow?
Well, as I said in the very initial statement that I issued shortly after or upon, frankly, my dismissal
Okay.
from my role with the city. As
Let
I
me just
said,
stop you there. When you say dismissal, was it your choice?
well, I did not
Or-
resign from my position.
Okay.
I would not have resigned, especially not in the wake of this issue still being unclear.
Okay.
I did nothing wrong.
Okay.
And I really would not have left my position under a cloud of any appearance of having done anything
Impropriety.
wrong.
Yeah.
So, you know, as I said at and during that time, I feel it very important to understand, to get at the bottom, to be very clear about what did happen in that
Okay.
situation. Who ordered the police to be there and why?
Okay.
And to me, that's a very, very basic question that should be able to, frankly, very easily and straightforwardly be answered.
Okay.
I perceive there to only be a few people who even have the authority or the ability to do that.
Okay.
And
And that is your goal for tomorrow?
and that's my goal
hearing?
for tomorrow, is for the facts to come out and be made clear,
Okay.
so that so that the answer and the clarity around that question can be brought forward.
Okay. And I just want to be clear about the hearing tomorrow. You're not required to be there, am I correct? I understand you're not working with the city anymore.
No, I'm not.
You
And-
haven't been subpoenaed to be there. So you're going because you want to go.
Yeah, I'm going because I want to go. I'm going because it's very important to me to that the facts and the truth be revealed.
Okay.
My character, my integrity, my personal and professional reputation is of utmost importance.
Okay.
And at this point, little matters more to me than making sure that that the facts come out
Okay.
that allow my character, my integrity, my reputation to remain and continue to be as strong as it has been.
Okay.
So I hope some of the facts that will come out will include, and I brought a couple of receipts just to share with the viewing audience, because I think, had
I think they're showing
had
one
the
now.
questions been asked early on and the facts been allowed to be brought forward, then I think a lot of the misstatements, a lot of the accusations could have been avoided. And, so much of it speaks for itself in the receipts.
Okay.
So just a couple of them, and I don't want to belabor these, but
Okay. Well, let's just take a look at them. I think the first one here.
that's a receipt of the private security that was hired.
Okay.
15 private security guards worked the full day of the festival on the 14th.
Okay.
And there was one that was hired that was on site overnight
Okay.
the night before, and one overnight the night after.
Okay. And you chose 15 because you assumed, based on conversations with.
Well, I didn't assume.
Okay.
Foxtail was instructed they were instructed that they needed to provide. They were responsible for 15 officers.
Okay.
So
And not 20.
And not 20. If they had been told they needed to have 20 private security guards there, they would have had 20, and they would have paid for 20.
Okay.
If
And I
they
see
had
at the
been
bottom it says paid in full.
paid in full. If they had been told that they needed that 20 police officers were available, just like the Hispanic Festival, I understand there were 15 officers that signed up, and they were able to pay those 15 officers. Foxtail Fest was totally prepared to do the same thing. Had 20 officers signed up, they would have paid 20 Wilmington police officers.
Okay.
So, you know, if someone wants to say special treatment would have caused us to have 20 officers signed up right from the beginning and avoid all the headache and the hassle and just keep moving. So,
and this is a check here showing what
this is a check for the cost of maintenance and cleanup that was performed by the Riverfront Development Corporation.
Okay, and based on my reading of certain news articles published locally, that there were certain public works sanitation workers at the event, and so this is you showing a check to show what?
To show that that Foxtail Fest employed their own cleanup and maintenance crew for that event, and therefore had no need to request, nor did they request, cleanup personnel from Public Works.
Okay.
The Riverfront Development Corporation provided 3 cleaning people plus a supervisor, and in addition, Foxtail had a cleaning company, which was one of their sponsors for the event. And that cleaning company provided a cleanup crew of 9. 9 people in red shirts that day. Were all about the event, pulling trash cans as they filled up, and clearing off tables in the VIP section, picking up trash on the ground. As you heard the young men speak in their interview with you, environmental friendliness was a major part of what they were trying to promote with this event and among young people. And so the cleanliness of the event grounds was really important. So those were the kind of resources that they paid for and employed themselves to ensure that they were able to do the cleanup. I'm thinking those are probably the only receipts. There are others that show what the city permitting fees and vendor permits and so forth.
And this is a personal money order we have here, paid to the order of the City of Wilmington, What's Seen LLC, for the amount of $390. And talk about what this money order is for.
Well, that's for the totality of, I think it's like a noise abatement fee, permits for vendors. There were 35 vendors there, and each of them have to have a City of Wilmington business license. And so the cost of that is wrapped into the total fee cost. So the event coordinator informs those who are producing and putting on the event of what it is they owe the City of Wilmington for all of those basically fees, permits, fees, and so forth. And that was the totality of them. So I share those just to convey and indicate that you know, one can speculate, but in black and white, there are receipts for services that Foxtail Fest hired and engaged to do all of the things that they were told they were required to do by the city.
So showing all these receipts and knowing that you or What's Seen did nothing wrong, why do you think there's such a groundswell of media around this event and around your involvement with the event?
Well, I mean, that's a question for the people who I guess threw the bombshells. Do
you think it's personal
I really
animus?
No, I'm not assuming or prepared to conclude that it's
Okay.
personal.
Okay.
I will say that that there were some things that were done during the course of the events that give you pause and, you know, kind of raise question in my mind. You know, frankly, Councilman Bud Friel paid a visit to the venue operator where the Foxtel after party was going to be held,
Okay.
and it was a little bit unnerving to that operator to get a visit from a council person
Okay.
asking about the event, basically, you know, raising questions about, is there adequate security, is it going to spill out into the streets,
Okay.
and going further as to raising the same questions with the property owner himself. And then beyond that, you know, making some assertions that Foxtel shouldn't have advertisements on their website for people coming to that event afterwards.
okay.
And so it's a bit unnerving, the thought that you know, someone in his capacity would be interfering, and you know, the word tampering has been used
Okay.
in some of the articles,
Okay.
and so one might say tamper even with a private event that was going on. It's a bit unsettling.
Okay.
It, you know, it causes one to wonder as well, you know, what was the fact that only one officer who signed up, was that happenstance, or was there some influence
Okay.
to deter them from signing up?
And
as
do
a
you
way
think that
to-
that's some information that may come out at the hearing tomorrow? Or
if there were any aspects of that involved in the process, I would hope that they would come out.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting that, you know, as I said, it could be as innocent as this was a new festival, and
Right.
and the officers just didn't know about it very well.
Okay.
And you know, people sign up for things that they're familiar with. I get that. It could be as innocent as that, but frankly, with all that has come my way and come our way, I
Yeah.
can't ignore the possibility that there might have been, you know, some other dynamics at work.
Okay.
I really can't. Some attempts to perhaps undermine and sabotage.
Wow.
You know, I will say as well that there's a lot in the entire process that I believe, in terms of communication and coordination, that I believe warrants some improvement.
Okay.
And so I think there's a lot on the back end that hopefully will be learned from this, that will allow things to be better going forward.
Okay.
At this point in time, though, you know, my primary concern, to be very honest with you, is clarifying that original looming question that started this whole thing,
About the public
and
resources.
that's about the police and who made the call to assign them,
Okay.
and why.
Okay.
How did you go from 5 officers to 20 officers?
Okay.
Who made that decision?
Sure.
Who deployed them? And why did they do that?
And I just have to ask, because some of the articles have talked about maybe the lines were crossed between your role as mother and your role as chief strategy advisor. What do you want to say to anybody who questions your role in those two positions and your working of this event?
Well, I'm going to liken it to another analogy. I'm going to liken it to an assistant principal of a high school. Cab Calloway, just say, for example,
Right
you
up
know,
the
a specialty
street.
high school that specializes in educating and developing children in the arts and dance and so forth. And one who has a daughter or a son who wants to go to Juilliard. I mean, the best of the best in terms of universities
Sure.
for that. And if that assistant principal finds that her daughter or son wants to come to that high school that she happens to be a teacher at, should that son or daughter be denied the opportunity to do that?
Right.
And as a parent, albeit also an administrator, should she herself be denied the opportunity to support her child in that endeavor? Or should she be, in all fairness, simply asked to be as balanced as she can be and as transparent as she can be in managing those dual responsibilities, because they are dual responsibilities.
Sure.
You know, it's said, and at a level it's true, that when you're in a very public office, it's a 24/7 job. Well, nobody needs to tell me that. I've lived it.
Okay.
You know, it's Saturdays, it's Sundays, it's 2 a.m. calls about things that have happened and things that need your attention.
Sure.
And so I made myself accessible 24/7. However, I am a mother and I am a private citizen, and I have the right to support my 23-year-old son, who's embarking on a huge endeavor. You know, one could find themselves the morning after with a disastrous situation where everything fell apart and things crumbled because it wasn't, you know, well organized, well orchestrated, well planned. And don't get me wrong, you know, as it all unfolded, and those who had the good fortune to be there would be awed, as I was, at how 3 young men, you know, 21, 23, and 23 years old, had the ability, the skills, the confidence to put together such a huge event. Frankly, bigger than anything that I've ever orchestrated, to be honest with you. And so clearly they had all the ability to do that. But in July, when they're initially, you know, embarking upon that, as a mother, you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, you know, he's taking on a huge responsibility on his shoulders. He's making a huge financial investment that has tremendous risk associated with it. And so instinctively, you want to be there and be accessible, and be a resource and be a support. I will say that throughout the process, what I attempted to do was at every turn be as transparent as possible and making it very clear that I'm on vacation, I'm here as a private citizen, and I'm here you know, to support Foxtail Fest.
And when you talk about transparency, was Mayor Williams, was he advised of your involvement with the event?
I had made the mayor aware that I was attending the meetings with the RDC, and that when I was doing that, I was taking vacation, so that I was doing that not at all on city time and as a private citizen. So,
and was Mayor Williams at the event?
Oh, he was at the event. I think he spent about 2 hours there. And I mean, I think everyone there, I perceive, felt great about what was happening, that it was so well done. I can't emphasize enough, there was not a single you know, incident that was recorded associated with that event. So it went on without incident, and in all regards was a huge success. I think that frankly is the greatest misfortune in all of this.
And I was going to ask you, I guess, looking back, do you have any regrets about the event?
Well, I mean, the only regret that I have none about the event itself. I mean, those young men could not, in my opinion, have done a better job of planning and preparing and executing a tremendous vision. The regret is the way in which the questions were handled on the back end. I don't even, I mean, I get the question, you know, why were 20 people deployed
Okay.
there?
Yeah.
I have the same question.
Okay.
So the question itself isn't the problem. It's understandable to ask that. I think the response to that question and the way in which it was handled, I may even say the way in which the question was asked could have been better. It was asked with I guess innuendos or assertions
Okay.
that it almost assumed
Right.
that because 20 officers showed up there that I made that happen, that
Right.
I orchestrated that, and
from an outsider, I mean, maybe a person would say, well, she must have played some role because it was her son's event, and she did have this high-ranking position.
well, and you know, so I hear some people say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I hear a lot of people say they totally understand. They totally understand the. You know, the whole notion of being able to balance and being able, having the ability to support your son.
Okay.
But I get the notion and the sort of assumption that there must have been. What I say is, so, but look at the facts.
Okay.
And I think that's where if the people who did make that call would just say they made that call, then it would be clear that as much as one might assume I would have had to have had some involvement,
Okay.
that would make it clear that I did not. So
Okay.
what is so perplexing to me is here we are, almost 2 weeks later,
2 weeks after the event.
after the event,
Yeah.
and what to me is a very fundamental, straightforward, should be very easily answered question, which is
Who made the call?
who made the call?
Okay.
Who deployed? Who made the decision and deployed police officers?
Okay.
And why were 20 deployed to Foxtail Fest?
Okay. Well, I know that
when
you.
in fact there were already 15 private security guards there. So 35 security personnel
Wow.
for 600 people.
Right.
When the Hispanic Festival, for example, typically gets, from what I understand, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people, and they were required to have 15 police officers,
Okay.
and their numbers were down a little bit that day, from what I understand. So some of them were even sent home.
Okay.
Well, did they go home?
Okay.
Did they come to Foxtail Fest? I don't know.
Right.
But those are questions that I think appropriately the public has an interest in knowing. I certainly have an interest in knowing.
Okay. And I guess I have to ask, if we don't know who ordered the police at this point, do you think that it was a little premature for you to be asked to resign from your post?
Well, again, I didn't resign, so I just want to be real clear about that.
Okay. Is
You know, I
terminated
will-
a better word?
Well, let's just say I'm not with the city anymore.
Okay. Okay.
And, you know, one could say I was dismissed.
Okay.
You know, choose whatever word you say. I guess it is important for me, for the public to know
Okay.
that I did not resign, because the appearance of having done something wrong and then leaving in the shadows of that, it would be important to me that is made clear.
Okay. I know you did a
but-
press release also. And so I guess I wanted to kind of go over the details of that for
Well,
those who didn't
yes,
read it.
With regard to the event that's coming up, the committee meeting that's coming up tomorrow evening,
Right.
which is formatted as an inquiry. One, I welcome that forum. I'm hopeful that out of it will come the facts.
Okay.
The information that will make clear the answer to all the questions that are out there,
Mm-hmm.
and especially to the question around who deployed the police officers, how
Okay.
that decision was made,
Okay.
and why. I have registered some level of concern and question with City Council president and members of city council on learning the list of people that they intend to, or they have requested to appear to be a part of the inquiry for questions.
Okay.
And
So you do know who's going to be there.
yes,
Okay.
a release was made on Friday
Okay.
by President of City Council that
Okay.
indicated the names of people who would be there, and there were a large number of names that were left off that list,
Oh.
who are people who were at the table, week in and week out as this issue was being discussed, and who were otherwise involved in the process in an operational way.
And is it your feeling that they all
need
show?
to be there.
Okay.
That need to be there, and so I'm a bit concerned as to why a number of those people who were, just fundamental. The Yvette Rouse, who is the director of the Riverfront Development Corp, oversaw every meeting that was held.
Okay.
And so how she cannot be included among the people to be there is a bit puzzling to me. Sergeant Tranzu, who is the police officer who coordinates all of the special event assignments and so forth, who was at the table at each of those meetings,
Okay.
including the meeting where the directive was given to Foxtel for the 15 and the 5.
The initial directive.
Yes.
Okay.
How he is not included among the people to provide information at the inquiry is a bit puzzling.
Okay.
And the two individuals who are the city's cultural affairs manager and director of communications, who were there at the table at the RDC meetings.
Okay.
And lastly, I guess I'll say the owner of the private security company who Foxtel hired.
Okay. Okay.
who was there for each of those discussions, and even was a part of putting forth options when when Foxtel was informed that only one officer signed up, and therefore they were basically told, you may have to cancel your event. And this was 2 days before the event. And he was helpful in putting forth some other options.
Okay.
What if they hire armed private security? Would that add some comfort? And that was not acceptable. And what about maybe engaging the county and
Okay.
state police and so forth? And that wasn't acceptable. So I think it would be important to hear from him.
Okay.
And yet he wasn't included as well. So that's one of the things that that is of concern to me. And I would have to say another is there were 4 questions that were identified as sort of 4 overarching questions that the council president was putting forth that he felt were critical.
So almost
that be
like
answered.
agenda items, so that you're not completely blindsided about what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, I'm not really sure what to expect, so I
Okay.
can't say I've got a good sense of what to expect. But
Okay.
in the 4 questions, there were 2 of them that were a bit concerning. And these were just in the nature of saying, here are the overall questions that need to be answered. And 2 of them alluded to the potential for, I asked the question, when would Foxtel repay the city? Which implicit in that is the assumption that Foxtel owes monies to the city.
Okay.
Well, if this is to be a fact-finding inquiry, I guess I'm puzzled by what seems to be an assumption already,
Right.
that there's some money owed. I mean, I think that's part of what would be determined tomorrow.
Okay.
And so, that's a little disconcerting to me. And then the last thing, and I will say on this, is the expression of a desire to really bring this to closure.
Okay.
And the distraction that it's creating for the city operations.
Right.
and the the need to get on with other urgent business. And this was my second opportunity to work on behalf of the citizens of Wilmington with the city, and so I know firsthand the critical issues that need to be addressed.
Okay.
And I understand how much of a focus that requires for everyone involved in managing the city.
Right.
And frankly, on a personal note, no one wants to see this come to conclusion any more than myself.
Sure.
However, of more importance to me than bringing it to a swift conclusion is bringing out the facts.
Okay.
And answering the core and critical questions.
Okay.
And so I would not want there to be such a push to quickly close this out, so much so that it doesn't allow for the fullness of the facts and the information to be brought to light.
Okay.
So again, I will keep going back so that the core and essential question here can be answered.
Okay.
Who made the decision to deploy the police and why?
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming out today to explain the facts as you know them to be. Tomorrow, we hope that the facts will come out at the City Council hearing. I know it's open to the public. It's at 5 p.m. And so we look forward to all the information coming to light at that point.
I do, and I guess in closing, I would like to say to the public that I am looking forward to the facts coming out. I said when all this first unfolded that I was committed to be at the table to make sure that that happens, and I fully intend to do that. I have to say I appreciate the tremendous amount of support and encouragement that I've received, that my family has received. People seem to understand and know my character and know my integrity, and I thank them for, even in the midst of all of the misinformation and all of the quick judgments, I thank them for knowing who I am and remembering who I am, and being open to hear the facts and hopefully drawing final conclusions based on that. But the outpouring of support has just been tremendous, and so in the wake of so much negativity, it's just reassuring to know that there are people who I think see this situation for the potential, attempt to find a scapegoat or to create a witch hunt, or however you might, you might see it. That I think there are lots of folks who sort of see the potential that is what it is. I like to just think that that we'll get all of the information, that the facts will be made clear, and the truth will prevail. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk with you.
And thank you, Mrs. Potter. And again, this is Brianna Denby. I want to thank the Congos for giving us this opportunity for the slot to get the facts out. And we look forward to you guys tuning back in next week to Straight Talk with Charles Potter. Again, this is Brianna Denby. Thank you.